All right, video 3. If you're watching in order, this is Majestic Mike on women's hoops. Basically, trying to break down the Power 4 conference tournaments for college women's basketball. See how much I can predict, and we'll go from there. Kind of challenge myself to get all these videos out for the first time, so it's pretty late for me just trying to run through them. In the future, probably have more of a structure, but for me, I'm just going to push these videos out and then go from there. So this is the third one. Third one for me, depends on, what order y'all decide to watch. First I did SEC, then I did ACC. Now I'm doing the Big Ten. And I feel like this will go by a little bit faster than the other ones. But let's see. So first we have Washington and Minnesota. I call Minnesota Captain Average. I just said they're in the middle of the pack for most of the stats. So basically what I did was I take all the stats for how they performed against the other teams in the conference and then kind of look at them, see what I think is going to happen. So head-to-head, they played on February 26th in Minnesota. Washington ended up winning 72-62. I just think Washington just has a much better offense. Washington averaged 73.0 points per game and allowed 69.7. Minnesota scored 70.5 and allowed 69.7. Some things that stuck out to me is that Washington can shoot. Their field goal percentage was 49.5 and their 3-point percentage was 40.1. Free throw percentage 83.6. Just to compare, Minnesota field goal percentage 43.2, 3-point percentage 29.8, free throw percentage 75.7. That's the thing. Washington has it, and yeah, we'll just go with that. Next game, Rutgers and Nebraska. Note says I'm not spending much time on this. I'm not sure what's going on with Rutgers. They did beat Penn State to end the regular season. For some reason, I feel like Keone McMillan is going to transfer. That was their star freshman, and who just all of a sudden just stopped playing games. Let's see. They did play on January 12th, and Nebraska won 69-62. And Keone played that game and scored 33 points. And as far as I know, she's not playing this game. So I feel like Nebraska's going to get that. We'll move on. Wisconsin, not Washington. Wisconsin versus Iowa. Wisconsin scores 63.3 points per game. Opponent scores 77.6. For Iowa, they score about 72.6 points per game, and their opponent scores 67.2. Iowa shoots the ball better, better field goal percentage. They shoot the three a little bit better. I just got to go with Iowa. I just feel like they're the better team. And they also played recently, so we can go with that too. They played on March 2nd in Iowa. Iowa won 81-66. Of course, the tournament will be at a neutral site, but I trust Iowa a bit more. Watch them a little bit. And I haven't watched Wisconsin, so it's a little easier for me to pick them. Next game after that, it's a little tougher for me. It's Indiana versus Oregon. They did play on January 24th in Oregon, and Oregon won 54-47. Oregon's, in my opinion, best player, Regina Kelly, scored 1 point in that game, and I just feel like they'll have a better game this time. I think Oregon will win the game. Oregon scores 64 points per game, and their opponent they allow 64.4. For Indiana, they score 68.5 points per game and allow 64.3. Is there any stats that help support this for me? Not really. I just think Oregon gets a couple more steals, slightly less turnovers. I just think Oregon will turn it up come tournament time. But this is easily a game that could go either way. But I'm just going to go with Oregon for this. But I will say Indiana does shoot the three a lot better. They shoot 38.3%, and Oregon shoots 29.3%. So Definitely would not be surprised if I'm wrong on that one. Let's see. Yep. Next game, Michigan and Washington. They played January 15th. Michigan won at home 82-69. Sellers for Washington scored 30. I'm just going to ride the hot hand and go with Washington. Washington won 4 in a row to end the season. They beat Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Oregon. I'm just going to ride the momentum and go with them. For Michigan, they averaged 73.4 points per game and allow 70.8. And again, Washington scores 73 and allows 69.7. Washington has a better field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. But Washington does not get to the line a lot. But they do turn it over. Oh, no, they turn over about the same. Yeah. So, hot hand. We'll go with Washington. Michigan also has, they start like what, 3 freshmen? And this will be their first game in the tournament. I like to think Washington will have some of those jitters and stuff out the way after that first win, and they'll come to play. So that is my pick, Washington. Next we have Nebraska and Illinois. I picked Illinois to win. They played on February 16th. Illinois won at home 77-68. Markowski from Nebraska had 28 points in that game. Illinois is on a 3-game losing streak, but they lost to UCLA, Southern California, and then Michigan. Nebraska also had to play an extra game just to get here, and I think this is where that's going to hurt them in this spot. Illinois scores 69.3 points per game, and they allow 65.4. They shoot 80% from the free throw line. Nebraska, they score 74.2 and allow 75.1. Iowa versus Michigan State. They played in December 15th, 2024. Iowa lost to Michigan State 66-68. That was very early in the season. Iowa was still trying to figure things out then. I feel like they're a lot better team now, and I'm just going to roll with them. I'm not worried about the stats. I'm not worried about none of that. It's Iowa. Michigan State is a good team, though. Michigan State scores 75.8 points per game and allow 69.3. And just to go back for Iowa, Iowa scores 72.6 and allows 67.2. Iowa shoots a little bit better from the 3. Otherwise most of the stuff's about even. But I'm just going to go with, there's players on Iowa's roster that have had some of those tournament moments that I feel like I trust a little bit more than Michigan State. So now we have the third round. So it's going to be Oregon versus Southern California. I live in Juju land. Oregon ain't winning this, not wasting time. They did play once on December 7th, 2024. Southern California won in Oregon 66-53. I do feel like Southern California is much better now than later in the season. I will never refer to Southern California as USC because only USC to me is the University of South Carolina. And so not to start any battles, I'll just say the names out, all the way through for both of them. So we got no problems. Game after that, Washington versus Maryland. I'm picking Maryland. They played on February 9th. Maryland won 81-73 in Washington. Smeekle for Maryland had 36 points. And Maryland's been on a tear, winning their last 4 games in the regular season. And then they had that crazy overtime win at Ohio State. I watched that game. That was crazy. Thank you, Maryland, for helping me win some money. Let's see. Maryland scores 78.1 points per game. They allow 73.1. They get to the free throw rate. Their free throw rate is a lot higher than Washington. For Washington, it's 9.4. For Maryland, it's 18.9. I feel like Maryland's going to bring it. And you got to remember, Washington has played some games to get here. That's going to be what? Maryland's first game? Yeah, because they had a double bye. So I think Maryland will be ready. And they need the double bye because they got some players that's hurt. Next game, Illinois versus UCLA. I do not think this will be much of a game. They played on February 20th. UCLA won at home 70-55. I wrote UCLA is not winning this tournament, but they'll win this game. I do think it'll be a very defensive game. I think it'll be closer than people think, but again, UCLA should win this. Iowa versus Ohio State. This could be the game that I get wrong, but I'm picking Ohio State. Ohio State won when they played in Ohio, 86-78. The game went to overtime. In that game, Ohio State made 26 of 38 free throws. I do think Ohio State gets physical with them and grinds out a win. Ohio State gets steals. They average 11.2 steals per game. Iowa State 6.9. What else? Anything else that stands out? They also don't turn it over as much. They turn it over 12.8 per game, and for Iowa it's 15.8. So that's 3. Ohio State scores 76.8 points per game and allows 69.7. And then Iowa scores 72.6 points per game and allows 67.2. So we are now at the semifinals. We have Ohio State versus UCLA. They played on February 5th. UCLA won at home 65-52. But Ohio State shot 29.4% from the field that game. I don't think that happens again. I feel like UCLA has some holes on their team, and I think this is a spot where they lose. So this is where Ohio State will win and move to the finals. Just to point out some UCLA stats. UCLA scores 75.9 points per game. Their opponents score 62.1, so they do play some good defense. Anything else that stands out? No, not really. I mean, they shoot the ball pretty well. Field goal percentage 47.9 for UCLA, and Ohio State is 44.8. But yeah, I just feel like Ohio State is going to get them this one. I think they just have better guard play, and Ohio State is going to get physical with them. They're going to grind it out. So the semifinals on the other end, Maryland versus Southern California. Southern California scores 78.6 points per game, and their opponent scores 62.5. Again, for Maryland, they score 78.1, and their opponent scores 73.1. They played on January 8th. Southern California won at Maryland 79-74, and they had to travel across the country for that. I'm going with Southern California. Got the better player. I think they're clicking a lot more now. It's not just a lot of juju watching. And I don't know. I felt like Maryland's got some injuries, and I feel like they had a lot going on in that Ohio State game. They definitely could have lost that for sure. So I think Southern California will get that. And then we have the finals for the Big Ten tournament. Southern California versus Ohio State. I think it's an easy win for them, for Southern California. They played on February 8th. Southern California won at home 84-63. I think they'll win again. I don't think it'll be close, honestly. Could be, but I don't think it will be. And even if it is close, I already know Juju going to get that win. Juju going to get that title. And they're going to be okay. So that's my winner for the 2025 Big Ten Women's Conference Tournament. We got one more to go.